Maradona is back. One of the greatest players in the history of the game is gunning for World Cup glory once again. And it's a new slim Maradona too to take on the Aussies. But if Argentina are to reach the World Cup finals, they must get past this man, Aston Villa's brilliant young goalkeeper, Mark Bosnich.
Obviously going to be very difficult. I mean, Argentina have been in the last two World Cup finals, and a lot of people couldn't imagine a World Cup without Argentina. You could imagine one without Australia.
And what a setting for this intriguing clash. Sydney, home of the 2000 Olympic Games, one of the most beautiful cities on earth. Sydney, very much the centre of the football world today. A sellout crowd of 42,000 guaranteed. The global audience around the 1 billion mark. Australia against Argentina, and it's live and exclusive on Sky Sports. A very good morning to you. The whole of this crucial World Cup match coming up. It's the first leg. Ray Clements is with me here for what promises to be a tremendous match. The game kicks off at 8:30, and we'll be going to Sydney in good time for you. This is just the start of a marvellous day of football right here on Sky Sports. We kick off at 8:30. Goals on Sunday at noon with Anna Walker, John Solaka, all yesterday's goals for you. John Gorman, struggling boss at Swindon Town, is the boss at 1:30. Coventry Sheffield United, our Super Sunday live and exclusive bonanza for you. And I'll be back at 6:10 to share the crack on Super Sunday Talk Back. But no doubt about the highlight, always a special buzz when World Cup qualification is at stake, especially when Maradona's involved, Ray.
Well, certainly, yes, and I think it's pleasing to see him back involved in international football. He's had his problems, he's been away from it for a while, but he is a world-class player, and even at 33, he's the sort of player that can inspire a side, and Argentina probably need that inspiration today.
Diego Armando Maradona, World Cup winning captain of 1986. Here he is when he made his comeback after 15 months out of the game after a drugs scandal. He was playing for Seville. This was the friendly match against Bayern Munich. You can't rule out talent, can you, whatever the level, Ray?
No, he's got everything, Maradona, when he's on his game. I mean, he's got great touch, his free kicks is exceptional. Here we see one from that right-hand side there, and we'll see that he actually, against Bayern Munich here, he bends it right around against the crossbar. He's probably one of the only players in the world who could do that skill. He really is an incredible player when he's on his game. Just look how much he bends that ball there, right over the keeper no chance, and the crossbar saves Bayern Munich.
That was his wife and his daughter in the crowd. We've seen that. Look at the hunger. He's back in the game now on the big stage, though, the World Cup for the first time since 1990, finishing runner-up in Italy. He looks a wee bit porky, wee bit chubby back there, but that was last season in his comeback. Look at the reception when he arrived at Sydney Airport around about 10 days ago. A lot of Argentinian expats down under gave him a hero's welcome. Look at that, doesn't he look trim?
Well, he's lost all that podginess in his face, hasn't he? He looks relaxed there as well. I remember seeing him in the 90 World Cup, and he was a very tense and solitary person in that World Cup. There he's enjoying himself, he's mixing in with the players, although there has been rumours he hasn't particularly done that well, but he looks very relaxed there. And the fans appreciate him as well and know what he can do for that side.
Here are the European-based Argentinians. That's Batistuta on the left-hand side, arriving from Fiorentina. Signing autographs, he looks sharp in training. He's even been picking up rubbish on the training ground. He's so keen. Let's have a look at Argentina's disappointing World Cup record, though, in qualifying. In Group A, they struggled to finish second behind Colombia. Only the two defeats under Basile, though. And in their last game, 5-0 at home to the group winners. Goalkeeper blamed for at least 4 of them. Let's have a look at their World Cup pedigree, though, as Maradona takes on Bosnich today live on Sky. 78 winners, 86 winners, 1990 runners-up, 3 finals in 4. You cannot argue with that sort of record. Maradona the star attraction, but what about another prodigal son returning? Mark Bosnich, who retired from international football in July in controversial circumstances after a dispute with the Australian football authorities.
The fact remains they couldn't compromise for the games against Canada. I wanted to play in the first game and missed the second one, and they wanted me there for both, which conflicted with my Villa commitments. And you know, I'm a very stubborn person. I'll cut my nose to spite my face. I'm not worried. So obviously that's what happened. But now it's a very big game, and my parents and my family back home have come under an enormous amount of pressure. People probably won't realise how much it's been in the news over there. And I just thought it was right just to eat humble pie and just sort of, sometimes you can admit your mistakes.
Bosnich arrived in his hometown Sydney a couple of days ago, having starred in Villa's 4-1 win at Sunderland on Wednesday and then flown 12,500 miles. He was greeted at the airport by mum and dad, and then he went off with her to eat veal stroganoff, his favourite meal. In fact, Mark Bosnich at the moment looking the part both on and off the field these days.
So sexy it hurts, and I'm too sexy for Milan, too sexy for Milan, New York and Japan. I'm too sexy for your party, too sexy for your party. The way I'm disco dancing. You know what I mean? My little turn on the catwalk.
I tell you what, any of these shirts are better than the gear Rico's got.
Too sexy for my, too sexy for my, too sexy for my.
Mum will like them.
You look better on Monday night, you get
A very spring shirt.
Would you wear that?
Looking sharp, isn't he? Bosnich is back. Let's have a look at Australia's qualifying record then to get this far. They won Oceania Group 1, beating the likes of Tahiti and the Solomon Islands, beat New Zealand in the playoff final, then Canada over 2 legs, but it still went to penalties. 4-1, Bosnich didn't play that day. He's back today though, Ray, and some people say he's the best young goalkeeper in the world.
Well, he certainly is one of the best. It's a lot of pressure to be put on the lad at only 21 years of age, but he showed in that clip we saw there that he has got tremendous reflexes. That's the one thing you cannot take away from him. There are so many occasions when he looks that he has to be beaten, and somewhere an arm will come out or a leg will come out, and he'll deflect it around the post or over the bar.
Right, let's have a look at the two teams, starting with Australia first then. Bosnich in goal, several European-based players there, but no Dave Mitchell of Millwall. Puhl, who played against England a couple of summers ago. He captains the side. Quickly on to Argentina. Maradona is back, of course. There are new boys there. Chamot is new. MacAllister's new. He's from Ireland, originally, his family. Basualdo, Balbo back for the first time since 1990 and the opening World Cup final defeat against Cameroon. Batistuta, he'll be the danger man there as well, along with Maradona. It's Australia, it's Argentina, it's live on Sky Sports, live and exclusive. The World Cup qualifier will be back in a couple of minutes' time for the whole match right here from the Sydney Football Ground. It's live on Sky Sports. Live and exclusive on Sky Sports this morning. It's an exciting Sydney Football Ground building up. Let's go over and have a look at some of the pictures. Let's taste some of the early atmosphere, Ray. Looks tremendously exciting. It's a sellout crowd there, 42,000.
It certainly does, doesn't it? I mean, it's probably the biggest game that Australia have ever had as far as football is concerned. You know, a World Cup qualifying game against Argentina, who have been the World Cup champions. I mean, it really is a fantastic game for the Australian people. Although looking in the crowd there looks a fair number of Argentinian supporters there as well.
England played there a couple of summers ago. They won 1-0. It was an own goal that won it for them. They found Australia a very difficult side to beat. And I can tell you, Ray, this week Australia are not even considering defeat today. It's all turned around for them, hasn't it, in the last 2 years?
Yes, I think the Australian team, they feel a little bit upset that Argentina are saying they've got respect for the Argentinians, but the Australians don't actually believe that the Argentinians have that respect for them, and they'll go out, and I'm sure it'll be quite a physical game early on. I feel the Australians will try and impose themselves on the Argentinians as quickly as they possibly can.
They've won at youth team level, haven't they? They've come up through the world ranks, under 17s, under 19s, done very well. Now it's time for their seniors to produce.
It's just like, I mean, it's like a lot of what used to be third world countries, and you could hardly call Australia a third world country, but certainly as far as football is concerned, they have improved and they have improved and they have improved until they've got to this stage where they can take on some of the best sides in the world and not be embarrassed and feel that they've got a chance. And I feel this morning that they will have a real chance against Argentina. I don't think over 2 legs it can happen, but this morning anything can happen.
We are ready. Look at that. The Australians ready to go to the USA, all the way to the USA. We're still praying we'll be there. We, of course, have to rely on Poland against the Dutch. Argentina and Australia don't have to rely on anyone else. It's down to them. Argentina with the likes of Batistuta, Maradona, Basualdo and Balbo, and the Australians with the likes of Slater and Jason van Bleck and Djurakovic and Ivanovic and Tobin. Hardly world-class names. 7 of them played against England 2 years ago. But look at the pictures. These Australian fans believe that those unknown players in World Cup terms can go on and beat the might of Argentina, the might of Maradona.
Well, I think that certainly the Australians, because they've got such a great team spirit, will think that they can go out and cause the Argentinians a lot of problems. It was very interesting to hear Maradona's quotes in terms of that everybody's talking about Maradona's back and Maradona can win this for us and he's the inspiration and this is what Argentina need. But Maradona himself is saying, look, yes, I'm back, but it's not about me, it's about the team. And if the team doesn't perform, then we won't get a result. So he knows that it isn't going to be easy out there in Sydney. He knows that the team have got to perform and that he on his own cannot win the game for Argentina.
Here they come, look down the tunnel. Maradona will lead the side. He was 33 years of age yesterday, still a youngster, but will he still have that explosive power kick at 33 that destroyed England in '86?
I think that certainly anything around the penalty area, he'll be dangerous. He'll still have that ability to bend the ball and dip the ball and get power into his shooting that will cause any side in the world a problem. At 33, we're seeing Ray Wilkins and Glenn Hoddle at 36 still running around in our Premiership division. So at 33, he looks slim, he looks ready for the fight ahead, and I think that he will be a big thorn in Australia's side this morning.
Paul Wade leading out the Australians. We saw him there, actually born in England. He arrived in Australia as an 11-year-old. No Dave Mitchell in the starting lineup. You see him there, he's one of the substitutes. The Millwall, former Chelsea and Swindon striker as well. Look at the Argentinian support down under. Football was taken to Australia by immigrants from Greece and from the Balkans and from South America as well. It's a huge sport amongst the expat communities. They say it's way behind rugby union and rugby league, but look at that. What a great shot, what a great arena. If this goes successfully for Australia today, it could kick the whole sport off, couldn't it, Ray?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. You can see the interest there, and I'm sure that most of Australia is watching it live on television, those that can't be in the stadium. And if Australia was to get a very, very good result against Argentina today, which is possible, then as we know in this country, the whole nation is lifted by it and takes a whole new interest in that particular sport. So it is the biggest occasion for Australia, and also it is a massive day for them in terms of it could lift off the whole football game in that country.
Maradona, captain of Argentina, 5'7" of muscle and glittering skills. Let's go to Australia. Let's hear the anthems. We'll hear from Ray a little bit later on. I'm picking up the commentary for you this morning. After the anthems will be Paul Williams.
Welcome to the Sydney Football Stadium for what promises to be one of the most intriguing matchups of the year. The Australian lineup just coming to the screen now. Australia have a mixture of home and European-based players, with 6 players in today's lineup earning a living in Europe. Familiar face of Mark Bosnich in goal, but keep an eye out for Aurelio Vidmar, the number 8, and Robbie Slater, the number 11. Both are capable of testing the opposing defence. Runs from field. It's a marvellous evening in Sydney. It's been a fine week. There's Vidmar, number 8, Slater, number 11, players to watch out for. Paul Wade, the Australian captain, restored to the lineup. He's number 6, and he could have the ominous job of looking after a certain dangerous player in the opposition's lineup this evening. Really is an unprecedented scene in Australia. Never has such interest been generated in the sport in this country. And such is the tremendous diversity of the World Cup that really 2 unlikely opponents are pitted here together this evening, and all for a place in the World Cup finals in the USA next year. Argentina, with football pedigree comparable with any country in the world, plus a host of world-class players littered throughout its history books, against Australia. Soccer minnows by comparison, but certainly an emerging force and determined to lose the tag of a third world football nation. And there's the Argentina lineup. All eyes on the number 10 jersey, of course, but goal-scoring responsibilities also on Gabriel Batistuta and Abel Balbo, Argentina's Italian connection. Batistuta in particular in great form for Fiorentina in Serie B. And at the other end of the pitch, Sergio Goycochea, the overnight star of the 1990 World Cup, where his ability to save a penalty took Argentina all the way to the World Cup final. Diego Maradona makes his return to the international stage to certainly add spice to this already marvellous cocktail. The most famous footballer in the world, if no longer the finest. Certainly he is the player that the Australian team fear the most. Australia won the Oceania group, then they beat Canada, the runners-up in the CONCACAF group in North America, and now pitted against South American giants Argentina. It really is a complicated path for them to reach the final. The referee today is Mr. Sandor Puhl, 44-year-old bank officer from Hungary, and in keeping with FIFA's policy of giving referees understanding, his 2 linesmen are also from Hungary this evening. Certainly Argentina, in their plans to qualify for the USA, didn't anticipate a match in Sydney. They were runner-up in Group A of South America. Colombia, of course, handing out that 5-0 thrashing in Buenos Aires just a couple of months ago. Seven changes in the Argentinian lineup from that defeat, including 3 players making their debut. So Alfio Basile really has chanced his arm somewhat. He's named an attacking lineup as well. He's come here to win the match, he says. Final checks for the referee. MacAllister and Chamot, the 2 fullbacks for Argentina debutants. Also Hugo Perez in midfield. And they're away. Argentina playing from right to left. Well, So much talk before the game of who will pick up Diego Maradona. But it's Australia who come forward for the first time. Despite Maradona's age, and he turned 33 yesterday, he really is the player the Australian team feared most. Here's Ned Zelic. The ball into the far post. Cleared away. Van Blurk will have a go. That's Alex Tobin, linchpin of the Australian defence. Goycochea really had a slice of fortune in his rise to fame. Pompidou broke his leg in the early games of the 1990 World Cup, and Goycochea really never looked back after that. MacAllister in well. Also Vidmar put Robbie Slater down the right. A chance to get the cross in, and it's a corner for Australia. Robbie Slater plays for Lens in France. One of the highest ranked foreign players playing in the French league. Australia now with the early pressure. This is exactly what the home supporters wanted. Goycochea comes and gathers comfortably under a challenge. I'm sure he can expect all competition in the air from Australia. It's certainly a weakness that Australia feel they can exploit. But Argentina with two new caps on either side of the defence, surely that would be an area also that they will be looking to take advantage of. Making your debut at international level at any time is difficult, but in this atmosphere it really is difficult. And here's Arnold coming in for Australia, and that's another corner. And it's a rousing start for the home team. They're so fired up for this game. Arnold did well, went past one man. The cross was weak, but strong enough to gain a corner. Slater to take this one. Plenty of height in the Australian side. It goes far to Wade. Vidmar goes back to Ivanovic, but his foot was too high, and it's a free kick to Argentina. Well, Argentina, twice world champions. They've made 4 finals in their history against Australia, who really only qualified for the World Cup once, back in 1974. 20 years since their last appearance in the finals. They started well here today. And to throw into Argentina, taken quickly by Batistuta. Durakovic in quickly. Here's Redondo. Short passing game of the Argentinians now is their first opportunity to really settle into this game. Foul by Vidmar. Aurelio Vidmar plays his football in Belgium. In fact, he's playing in midfield today, but he plays up front for his side, Varigam. He was second top scorer in the Belgian league last year. Does have an eye for goal. Here's Maradona. Cleared by Van Bleur. And first opportunities for the great Maradona snuffed out by the Australian defence. That's a free kick in the back. Chamot, the debutant, into the back of Graham Arnold. José Chamot plays for Foggia in the Italian First Division. Van Blurk. Arnold's in there, also is Wade. That's who Australia normally aim for with the set pieces. He's very strong in the air. Just managed to keep that ball in, but it's a throw-in for Argentina. Taken by MacAllister. Flicked on, Basualdo. Durakovic, throw into Australia. Every hint of a decision going Australia's way brings a huge roar from this crowd here. Slater, good turn inside. Taking on the defence, Robbie Slater, good lay back. Here's Zelic with the shot. And in the end it trickled through to Goycochea, but it was impressive build-up by Slater. Again Slater in well, looking for Vidmar. Oh, that was marvellous play, but it was brought down instantly. Alex Tobin is the man with the onerous task of marking Gabriel Batistuta. He's in such fine form coming into this game, Batistuta. 5 goals in 5 games for Fiorentina since his return to Italy after the Copa America. Maradona, he's lost 12 kilos in the last 2 months, especially for his return to international football, and you just wonder how much that's taken out of him. He's only played 2 games in that period as well. And Argentina win their first corner. Maradona taking the corner gets a warm response from the Australian supporters in that corner of the ground. There's Bosnich, the Aston Villa keeper. They're so pleased to have him in goal. Coach Eddie Thompson feels that he's got such a quiet defence, and Bosnich is a good talker. And he stays on his line for this. And it's cleared well by Australia. Here's Redondo. A great tackle from Slater. Basualdo with the throw. Well, these two teams have met before at international level, twice in fact. Last year in Buenos Aires in a friendly game. Argentina defeated Australia by 2-0. But back in 1988 on this very ground, Australia had one of their greatest wins in international football, defeating Argentina 4-1. Paul Wade, the Australian captain, was playing that day. He in fact scored one of the goals. But certainly that is a result that has been bandied around well and truly before the game and waved in front of the Argentinians' noses. And Arnold holding ball up well. Still Arnold, then blurred through. Throw into Australia. Zelic, Vidmar making a run on the far side, couldn't quite get the ball to him though. Now possibly is an opportunity through Durakovic. Slater, MacAllister wins quickly. It's an Australian throw. You can see the headband on Mehmet Durakovic there. The 15 stitches in his forehead from a game 2 weeks ago, but nothing would stop him playing here this evening. Borelli, the sweeper. Hooked on by Balbo. Ivanovic, good ball to Arnold. Here's Redondo. Turns inside well. Vidmar almost pinched it. Batistuta takes over. And it's a throw into Australia. Certainly one of the pre-match talking points was the amount of pressure that Australia will have to apply to the ball. If they let Argentina play their neat short passing game, they could be in trouble. And you can see already they're so hungry to win the ball when the Argentinians have possession. It's Ned Zelic, plays for Borussia Dortmund. Normally as a sweeper, though, the centre of midfield today. One of Australia's most dangerous players when they come forward. MacAllister goes long, looking for Batistuta. And Van Blurk with time. Here's Aurelio Vidmar. Looking long for Arnold. He's certainly on his own, Graham Arnold. He'll have to hold up until support arrives, and it's come from Vidmar. Now Australia have some players coming forward. Tony Vidmar's on the far side. Here's Slater. Robbie Slater. Tony Vidmar. Ball comes in early. Arnold couldn't quite hang on to it. But good build-up from Australia. Milan Ivanovic to Alex Tobin. Both play for the same club side in Australia, Adelaide City. In fact, 5 Australian-based players in today's lineup. Good ball in, Arnold's in there! And it was a marvellous cross. And the crowd come to their feet because that's Australia's best chance so far. Coming after 12 minutes. Zelic started it off coming down the left. The overlapping fullback was Jason Van Blurk. A good quick ball in from him, and Arnold was in front of his man but couldn't keep the ball down with the pace that he was running in on goal. And Australia dominating Argentina here. Vidmar switching it to his brother Tony Vidmar, but just too far. Tony Vidmar, another Adelaide City player, playing on the right-hand side of defence, though he does get forward extremely well. He's a fine athlete. And we're still yet to see much of Diego Maradona. He's hardly had a touch so far. I'm sure the Australian camp will be happy with that. Just 2 games in the last 2 months for Diego Maradona. He's gone down off the ball there after a challenge from Wade, but no hint of any decision from the referee. Certainly the feeling in the Australian camp is that Maradona will be well and truly struggling for fitness, so he is a master at pacing himself through a game. Batistuta's at the back, but Bosnich calling and gathering comfortably. Looking long for Arnold. Given to Basualdo though, and Abel Balbo. Durakovic. And that's well played by Durakovic. Finding Slater. Vidmar. Too quick was Vazquez. Here's Redondo. Very difficult to get off the ball. Fernando Redondo. As you can see there, but he had to foul Vidmar because Vidmar was too quick for him. It was good play from Redondo. They went past a couple of players. Pull Vidmar back illegally. Tobin goes long. Slater with the touch on. Basualdo picks it up though. Now Zelic has time to settle on the ball. Vidmar. Got Van Blurk outside him. Goes on his own. Still Aurelio Vidmar, back to Van Bleur. Zelic inside. Good play from Australia. That's where Zelic is dangerous, just outside the box like that. He can really open up a defence with a good run or a good pass, but not on that occasion. I'm talking to Alfio Basile before the game. He feels that he would be happy with a 2-2 draw here today. He has come for a win. And you can see that with the lineup he's chosen, that it's certainly a lineup which has the capacity to score goals. That has been a major problem for him. He said, though, that he would be happy with a 2-2 draw, but a 0-0 draw would be a bad result. After a quarter of an hour, the score is 0-0. This match coming to you via Sky Sports, of course. Vidmar. Borelli clears. Well, there's a real David and Goliath feel about this game. Argentina valued at 100 million, and Australia come forward with Slater. And it was a marvellous run from Robbie Slater. He feels he was impaired by the challenge, but he did have time to get his challenge in. Went round Borelli there, and really the Argentinians were opened up to a certain extent, and you can see the challenge coming in, and maybe he had case for a free kick on the edge of the box then. But again, Australia have opened up the Argentinian defence, and that must be of concern for Basile. Maradona. Wade sticking extremely close to him, and Maradona wins the free kick, taken quickly. Here's Balbo. Batistuta, back to Balbo. This is better from Argentina. They still come forward, but Wade now with an opportunity to clear. And that's a throw into Australia. Fernando Redondo plays for La Coruña in Spain. They drew with Mark Bosnich's club Aston Villa just the other week in the UEFA Cup. There's Redondo, good dummy to Basualdo, and MacAllister in plenty of space on the left. Redondo again, and Slater in quick on him. Argentina now with the opportunity to start their patient build-up, with too much pressure again from Australia. They really have started this game well. Well, I was about to tell you before that Argentinian squad valued at $100 million. Australia, if they're lucky, would be valued at 10 million. A real David and Goliath feel about it, and that was an inventive effort from Batistuta. Redondo goes long for Balbo. Still Abel Balbo. Maradona. Redondo. Given away though, and Australia come forward. Vidmar has Van Blurk outside and comes inside to Zelic though. Space for Ned Zelic. Tries a shot. He is capable of striking marvellous shots from that kind of distance, but not on that occasion. kick to Argentina. After 20 minutes here at the Sydney Football Stadium, it's Australia 0, Argentina 0. Certainly the pre-match predictions would be that the first 20 minutes would be tight and cautious. Hasn't been the case. There has been plenty of flowing football, mostly from the Australians at this stage. Now Argentina forward. Good turn inside. Chamot. But a chance for Australia to come clear with the sweeper, Ivanovic. Slater takes over. Oh, that's brilliant play from Robbie Slater. And Redondo pulled him down and is lucky to escape without any card from the referee. Brilliant play from the Lions midfielder, and that was just a blatant body check from Redondo, claiming that Slater ran into him. Zelic. Van Blurk. Play from the Australians. Way back to Van Blurk. Throw into Australia. Oh, the referee's changed his mind. And it's a free kick instead to Argentina. Redondo goes deep, plenty of pressure. You see 3 yellow shirts around him there, and they've pinched it here, and Graham Arnold has a chance, and that's a shot past the post, but Redondo was caught on the ball there, and that's good play from Australia again. Losing out, he had 3 players around him. Arnold, I think, had more time than he realised, and he'll be disappointed with that finish. Wade in the air, flicked on by Slater. Arnold couldn't manage to gather it, and Wade's in so quickly on Maradona. And Diego takes his time getting up, though he's well used to that kind of treatment. There's no doubt about it was an over-aggressive challenge from the Australian skipper. Certainly part and parcel of the Australian makeup. They're such a competitive country. And the interest that this game has generated from Australians alike, not just football supporters, has been absolutely phenomenal. The presence of Diego Maradona, no doubt playing a major part in that. Certainly most Australians have at least heard of him, if not know an awful lot about his career. But a whole country will get behind the sporting team in Australia. And rightly so, because they played a marvellous opening 25 minutes here. Maradona. No time for him to settle. He's barely touched the ball so far. I'm sure coach Eddie Thompson will be happy with that. Maradona, back to Redondo. Vidmar in very quickly. And Zelic also. And Australia have run possession again. That's what putting pressure on the ball can do for a side. And Australia really have worked hard at that part of their game this week. this game really have had a major problem in the goal scoring department. Just 7 goals in their 6 group matches to get them to this stage of the World Cup. Not a high strike rate at all, considering the calibre of the opposition. Of the 7 goals, 4 were scored by Ramon Medina Bello, who's on the substitute bench today, so really a lot of firepower up front for them, certainly in the international stage. Balbo and Batistuta doing marvellous work in Italy. Certainly Balbo last year, 21 goals for Udinese in the Serie A. It's a marvellous strike rate. Maradona inside, away from Wade. Redondo as Chamot outside. Batistuta in quickly was Tobin. Vidmar under pressure and he's given it away to Batistuta. Now Ivanovic has time to clear. He's certainly dwelling a little bit longer on the ball than they need to at stages. It is a barometer of the confidence that has been achieved because of their strong start in this game. They must be very careful with that ploy, of course. Playing out of defence is very much part of the team plan for Australia, but they're not used to playing against players of the speed of Batistuta, Balbo. Wade in quickly, too quickly for Maradona. And it's a free kick to Australia. The challenge that was going to be too strong. So it's just apologising there for the challenge on Redondo. Slater applying pressure quickly. Basualdo inside to Redondo. Still Fernando. Redondo inside to Batistuta. Time to start again for Argentina, but they've given it away to Tony Vidmar. He's got Arnold breaking on the left. Slater outside him. Looking at the long ball for Arnold, but that will be swallowed well and truly by Goycochea. Batistuta just failing to get on the end of that. Ivanovic in quickly. Van Blurk, too much pressure for him, and Maradona free kick against him. He smiles and helps Van Blurk to his feet though. Underneath that is an incredibly competitive nature from the Argentinian maestro. Had a tepid start to tonight's game though. MacAllister's down for the Argentinians. That was MacAllister. No treatment as yet allowed on the field by the referee. Currently playing for Boca Juniors. Half an hour gone, it's still Australia 0, Argentina 0. Climbing all over Zelic. Australia now have a chance to do something with the set piece. Paul Wade will go to the far post, but it's taken quickly. Slater has gone outside. Still Robbie Slater now. And Blur can support. Cross comes in early. Here's Wade. Couldn't direct his header towards the goal, and Argentina clear. An advantage well played by the referee, because Argentina come forward with Batistuta. Maradona, brilliant turn. Basualdo. And too many Australian players back. And that's a free kick on Graham Arnold. See there, so many yellow shirts around Maradona when he gets the ball. This was the high ball that caused the problems. They had challenge from Arnold, too aggressive. Australia have never lost a World Cup game at the Sydney Football Stadium. Really desperate to make the finals again. They feel they've got their strongest chance ever with this current side. Certainly the game in the country has never been so healthy. So many players playing for overseas clubs now. Starting to become a nation that can export players rather than import players. Some defending to do now, but Chamot was robbed. And Zelic has the ball for Australia. Given away though, Maradona in space. Look for Batistuta. Vidmar. He was looking for the long ball from Arnold. There certainly wasn't a lot of movement off the ball on that occasion for the Australians. Arnold is the lone striker for Australia. Slater and Vidmar are the supporting midfielders who get forward very quickly. Both have an eye for goal. Zelic, good turn inside, somewhat lucky off his thigh though. It's a good challenge from Basualdo. The referee very quick to clamp down on any protestations from the Argentinian players. Vidmar with the long throw. Wade will be looked for the flick on. Goycochea stays, Wade flicks on. Maradona. Ivanovic. Slater couldn't bring the ball down, though he has managed to win a throw-in. Too much pressure for Vidmar there, and Maradona has the ball. It's a good challenge from Durakovic. There's a real air of expectancy goes around the stadium when Maradona does manage to get possession. Back to Tobin, and now Australia can build again. That's well turned from Van Blerk after miscontrolling the first attempt, and he's got away with it there because he's won a throw-in for his country. And the final hurdle before the World Cup for USA for both these sides. Australia lost to Israel in the last World Cup qualifying series. Time before that, in 1985, they were beaten 2-0 by Scotland on aggregate in a similar situation to this, sudden death. 2-0 was the score in Glasgow back in 1985, 0-0 in Melbourne. The Scots went on to Mexico. Australia are hoping to go one better here. Maradona inside. Almost kept in by Durakovic, but it seemed that after he moved the ball inside that the linesman's flag went up then. Nevertheless, it's a throw-in to Argentina. Brilliant play from Diego Maradona. And Wade recovered so well after being beaten. Here's Maradona now. Good ball in. Balbo's there. And that is a marvellous goal from Abel Balbo. Created by Maradona. Finished by Balbo. And Australia have been stopped in their tracks by a marvellous cross and a marvellous finish. Maradona went on a run before this, but he's picked up the ball here and a good cross in with the left foot. And Balbo, look at that, right in the top left-hand corner. It's really the first chance that we've seen of Maradona. And certainly of Balbo as well, but even Bosnich had no chance with that. And Argentina have hit the front against the run of play. Certainly all the fighting qualities that are so much a part of the Australian makeup will be required now. Slater brought down by Balbo. Tobin under pressure from Batistuta. Bosnich clears with the left foot. Straight into the crowd and perhaps signs of shakiness in the Australian defence. I'm sure that goal has rocked them. Bosnich there complaining that that is not the situation where he wants the ball. Vidmar in quickly. Maradona takes over. This is better play from Argentina. Vidmar loses out. Oh, it's a free kick for the foul by Redondo. And Maradona working back tackling. That's a rare sight in international football. Sure, his own personal spirits are sky high after setting up that goal. He really was uncertain on how he would perform with such little match play behind him. And Balbo's in here again, but it's gone through to Bosnich. Just 5 minutes remaining in this first half. It's Australia 0, Argentina 1. If you've just come in, Abel Balbo, the scorer. Good turn from Zelic. Here's Wade. Slater now. Vidmar down the right. This is looking better for Australia. Ned Zelic. Players all round him. He manages to get the ball out to Vidmar. And MacAllister blocks the cross. Eddie Thompson, the Australian coach. Supporters of Hibernian may remember Eddie in his playing days. Certainly the biggest evening in his coaching career to date. Zelic. Argentina pressing up. Zelic looking for Vidmar in behind, and he's onside. Tony Vidmar, and Aurelio Vidmar has equalised. The two brothers combining. And a marvellous time to equalise too, with just 3 minutes remaining before half-time. Brilliant ball in behind the defence from Zelic. Tony Vidmar is very quick. The low cross, and Aurelio Vidmar the finish. And Australia are level. Well, perhaps signs that Argentina was still mentally celebrating their own goal, because the two Vidmar brothers outfoxed the defence there. Good cross in and a good finish. And Australia are back in the game. MacAllister. Stadium really alive now, because Australia have pinched possession again, and it's with Arnold. And Basualdo takes over for Argentina. Here's Maradona. Balbo. Ivanovic across, and that's a good tackle from the Australian sweeper. Milan Ivanovic, formerly of Red Star Belgrade. And this is the challenge again, and a fair challenge it was too. Though Balbo did stay down after the challenge was made. And Maradona in tight space wins a corner. Batistuta in there, Redondo in there. Aimed for the near post for MacAllister though, who must be the shortest Argentinian player. And Van Blurk beats Maradona, and he puts Slater in down the right. But it was good play from Borelli, anticipating Slater's first touch. But there's a real skip, if you'll excuse the pun, in Australia's stride now, as Arnold is offside. Gee, it must have been close. And Arnold knows how close that was, and so does Eddie Thompson. He'll be content to go in at half-time 1-0, at 1-1, sorry. Slater, MacAllister in quickly, as was Vidmar, and that's well played, Tony Vidmar. MacAllister in so quickly there, and he took Tony Vidmar out, and I think the referee might want to have a word with Carlos MacAllister. Well, the warning came in the form of a waved finger from the referee. Chamot down the line for Balbo, and quickly was Durakovic. But they've lost out to Redondo, but it's another free kick to Australia. Only Vidmar. Arnold calling for it on the far post. But Slater outside him. MacAllister in too quickly for him though. Zelic will pick it up, and that's well played, Zelic. Now the confidence back in the Australian passing. I'm sure it was a huge shock to them really when they went a goal down. They were playing so well before that. Durakovic. Van Blurk in plenty of space on the left. Faced by Balbo. Comes inside. Vidmar. Back to Van Blurk. Durakovic. He'll try his luck from there, Durakovic. He fancies himself from almost any distance, Mehmet Durakovic. He was closed down very quickly and he couldn't get his body over the ball. We're into time added on in the first half here at the Sydney Football Stadium. It's been a marvellous first 45 minutes. And Jorge Borelli could be in trouble here. Well, that was the challenge on Graham Arnold by Borelli, and there was certainly no malice from Graham Arnold there. I think Borelli just landed awkwardly. He looks in trouble enough though for Alfio Basili to put on his feet just to check the goings on. Slater and Maradona exchange mouthfuls of water. The grimace on his face shows he's in some pain though. With just a few seconds remaining in this first half, to be able to have that looked at. Can Australia produce something else in this first 45 minutes? Well, we've had over 3.5 minutes worth of time added on. It's certainly been a game played in good spirits, competitive and hard, as you would expect from any international, especially at this stage. And now finally the half-time whistle goes. Such an exciting first 45 minutes for the Sydney Football Stadium to witness here today. Abel Balbo opened the scoring brilliantly with a header after 38 minutes from a marvellous cross by Maradona. But Australia replied with Aurelio Vidmar tapping in the equaliser from the 6-yard box just 5 minutes later. Certainly anticipation is great for the second half, but the half-time score here at Sydney is Australia 1, Argentina 1.
The team they call the Socceroos holding the twice world champions in the first leg. It's been a cracking game and we'll be back in a couple of seconds time to talk you through it. It's Australia 1, Argentina 1 in this World Cup qualifying playoff. First leg, we'll have the second leg for you right here on Sky Sports as well. Ray Clements is here to talk you through the first half action. Ray, it's been a good first half, hasn't it?
It's been a very good first half and I'm pleased Australia have got back into it because they deserve to be level at half-time.
Now, we build it early on as Mark Bosnich of Aston Villa in Australia against Diego Maradona of Argentina. Neither had done anything for around about 35 minutes. And then, Ray, Diego Maradona suddenly started to get hungry again, didn't he?
Yes, he did start very, very quietly, and you thought for the first half an hour, well, he's only in the side if they get any free kicks around the penalty area, of which at that time they hadn't had any. He was very, very well marked and had done nothing at all. But then, in the last 10 or 15 minutes, he started to put himself around. And here we see a side of Maradona you don't see very often, chasing back, winning the ball there, really battling hard for his side in his own half of the field. And you don't see that very often from Maradona. And then, just after that, here we see a bit of magic from him. Here we see, makes an opportunity, superb cross into the box there. And there's Balbo. Wonderful header. Bosnich, no chance whatsoever, right in the top corner. Here we see it again, takes it dummies onto his left foot, bends it in. Vidmar loses Bilbao, and it goes into the net there.
Now, Balbo, when he was brought back into the side, first time in 3 years, it raised a few eyebrows, but that's an international class finish, isn't it?
It is, yes, but I mean, he has been scoring many goals for Roma in Italy, and he's obviously really full of confidence at the moment, and that showed with that header. I mean, it was a great header, although I think that Tony Vidmar would be a little bit disappointed that he just gave him too much space to actually get a free header in.
So, 1-0 down against the twice world champions. You might have been forgiven for thinking they'd fold, but here they came straight back within 5 minutes to equalise.
Well, it's Tony Vidmar making up for his mistake. Good cross into the box there, and his brother Aurelio Vidmar sticks it into the net. But it's a wonderful pass here from Zelic. Picks out Tony Vidmar over the back there. Good hard low cross, and Aurelio onto the end of it and tucks it into the net. But Aurelio did well there. 2 Argentinians around him, but still got the touch into the corner of the net. So that's really set it up now for the second half.
Yeah, Aurelio Vidmar certainly deserves something for his bravery to have a hairstyle like that anyway. Let's have a look at earlier on in the game, though, because it was all Australia early on, and really Arnold up front, who's led the line very well, could have had one early on.
Yes, he could, yeah. It's a good move again. Zelic was involved in it down the left-hand side there to Van Blurk, and he whipped a ball into the near post there, and there's Arnold, just gets in front of his marker, can only stretch out with his right foot and can't quite control it. There we are, nice ball from Zelic. Van Blurk has a look at his marker, sees Arnold's run, whips it in, and the pressure by the Argentinian defender on Arnold is just enough that he can't direct it onto the target.
Arnold had chances early on. Robbie Slater looked very impressive as well. But at the other end, Mark Bosnich, we talked about him a lot early on. Would he be happy with conceding that goal? Could he have done anything about it, really?
I don't think he could have done anything about it. I mean, to be fair to Mark, he had not had a save to make until that situation arose. He just had back passes, not one shot, not even a simple shot to save. And the first thing he's got to do is a great header there from Bilbao, and it's right in the top corner, and there was nothing he could do about it at all.
Finished strongly, Argentina as well, and it's going to be a cracking second half right here on Sky Sports. The Sydney football ground is packed, 42,000. We'll be back in a couple of minutes' time to talk you up to kick-off in the second half. Australia won, Argentina won in the World Cup qualifying playoff. Australia won, Argentina won. The Argentinian fans are happy. The Australian players are out for the second half. No Argentina at the moment. Ray Clements, is that significant?
It's just normal for Argentina, and I've played against them on 2 or 3 occasions, and they are always late out of the dressing room at half-time. They like to have their opposition on the field waiting for them to come out, and they will delay it until the referee's virtually knocking the dressing room door down to come out to play.
Look at that, 7 shots Australia, 2 for Argentina, 11 fouls committed by Argentina in that first half. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that about sums up the first half. It's, Australia have definitely been the side that have put all the pressure onto Argentina. They've created the more chances, but as Maradona in the side, he's proved that give him one opportunity and he'll create something for them.
Quick prediction from you for the second half?
I don't think Australia can finish any worse than where they are now. I think they'll at least get a draw, and that goal just before half-time might just boost them enough to go on and win this game.
So it's the Socceroos against the twice world champions. It's all square. Let's go straight to our commentator for the second half, Paul Williams. I'll tell you what, we would have gone to Paul Williams, but the lights have gone off in the Sydney football stadium. Let's see if we can, if the lights are back on now. No, there you are. It's all gone dark. Ray Clements, I can't believe this. I've never seen this before in a major World Cup qualifying game. The lights have gone out, a power failure, a couple of flares. That won't please FIFA. Right on cue for a second half of drama, and the lights go out.
I tell you, these Argentinians will do anything to get through to the World Cup. It's amazing, isn't it? The only thing that's going is the electric scoreboard.
Well, let's have a look again at some of the figures then. 55% possession from Australia, 45% Argentina. 1-1 it is. It's very, very tight. But what's going to happen now, Ray? I mean, the referee presumably will wait 5 or 6 minutes, no more than that, can he, before he has to call the thing off?
Well, I would think he'll leave it as long as it is possible to get the game on. I would think that if the players can find their way back to the dressing room, they may well go back in there and wait until they get some information from the officials. I'm sure a stadium like the one in Sydney, they must have a backup system which they must be able to put into operation very, very quickly. And I can't see the game being called off. A game of this stature, surely they must have a backup system they can get floodlights on very, very quickly.
Well, if you've just woken up, the pictures you're seeing are the Sydney football ground, where it's 1-1 Australia-Argentina in the World Cup qualifying playoff, but the lights have gone off, the power has failed, there's been a generator power failure in the ground. They have an engineer working on it right at this moment, and you can just see the lights beginning to sparkle and beginning to come back into life. I'll tell you what, this is all part of the glamour and all part of the drama as the curtain raises on another World Cup occasion. It's all part of this greatest ever tournament for sportsmen, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it never ceases to throw up surprises, does it? I mean, here we are. We're all looking forward to this second half, and I'm not sure whose advantage this will be to. Probably the Argentinians, because I would imagine Australia will be coming out of that tunnel. 42 minutes, they got the equaliser. They're really buoyed up for it, really think they can get at the Argentinians in the second half. They've come out ready for it, and the lights go out.
Right, once again, if you've just woken up after a heavy night, too many sherbs last night down the boozer, and you're thinking you're a bit bleary-eyed and you can't see anything, don't worry about it. The lights have failed in the Sydney Football Stadium, and you're actually seeing what's going on there. There are one or two, obviously, emergency lights that are still on. The power has completely gone in the commentary box, I can tell you, and we've lost our commentator, Paul Williams, literally somewhere in that stadium. We're trying to find him, and the engineer's trying to find the switch, or perhaps a 10p piece to stick in the meter. Go on, boys, whatever you use down there, we'll send you a 10p in the post, see if you can get the lights back on. First half was 1-1, and this is at the brilliant run by Diego Maradona, which was stopped, but he suddenly started to get into the game more and more, and this was the Argentinian goal, right?
Yes, it was, and we saw just seconds before his run in the first place, but he is so deadly with that left foot there. I mean, he picked out Balbo there, and Balbo had the simple job of just redirect. Well, simple job, he made it look simple, didn't he? But here we see, you know, the skill that Maradona still has. You can't take that away from a world-class player. Throws his shoulder there, loses his marker, and whizzes that ball with the left foot. And there we have Balbo just redirecting the ball into the top corner.
In the side, really, because Caniggia, his Roma teammate, is out at the moment with an injury, with suspension, I should say. Paul Williams, there he is.
He's not too worried about it.
What an amazing last 10 minutes it's been. Drama as it happens on Sky Sports. Live and exclusive, the World Cup qualifying playoff between Australia and Argentina. And we'll be waiting now, the Argentinians coming out for the second half. Once again, they're a little bit coy, and they're just waiting to come out for the start of the second half. We hope any second now. Aurelio Vidmar, he had a good first half, didn't he, on the left-hand side of their midfield, with his brother Tony on the right-hand side. Tony's the younger of the two.
Yes. I mean, they all played well in terms of their commitment and their willingness to close down the Argentinian players, their willingness that even when they were beaten to chase back and put pressure onto them. And the Australian side have to be like that because, you know, with the greatest will in the world, the Argentinians are a highly technically very skillful side, and when you're playing against sides like that, you can't afford to give them time on the ball, because if you do, they will pass you to death.
Still awaiting the second half because of the power failure in the Sydney Stadium. What will be going through the players' minds now? It's such an important game for both nations.
Well, it is, yes. I think it would probably affect the Australians a little bit more, because they would have been on a high, having just equalised before half-time, and couldn't wait for the second half to start, because they would feel they would have Argentina on a psychological low. Now that they've had this break, it might just ease the pressure off the Argentinians. They might come out and think, oh well, Australia now will have lost that impetus. So it'll be interesting this first 10 minutes to see if Australia continue that momentum and get straight back at Argentina and put them under pressure.
Okay, well, let's hope that it's up curtain, cue lights, and on for the second half. Let's hope, by going back to our commentator, Paul Williams.
Well, communications restored with Sky Sports, and opportunities for both coaches to communicate some extra instructions to their players with that unbelievable incident, really, with the floodlighting failing at the Sydney Football Stadium. I can assure you that is an unprecedented incident to happen here at any sport. And I say this tongue-in-cheek. Certainly the Australians were chomping at the bit to get back out onto the start of this second half. They were out a full 3 minutes earlier than the Argentinians, and you just wonder if Argentina had anything to do with the floodlighting incident. The play about to continue now as Alfio Basile takes his seat. One of these sides is 45 minutes away from a good result, perhaps a foot in the USA for the World Cup in 1994. Certainly on the first half performance, it has been Australia who has made most of the play. He was an impressive performer in the first half, Slater. Argentina now with marvellous little short passes, but too many. Australia will almost welcome that kind of play from Argentina because they are very quick and aggressive in the tackle. Throw in to be taken by Chamot. Batistuta, Tobin too quick for him. Time it's Australia's throw. And Blurk has Arnold as his only option. Vidmar chases this into the corner. Borelli comes across. And Aurelio Vidmar epitomising the chase anything philosophy that the Australians have, though it's been a performance with far more than just grit and determination from Australia. They've shown that they can play the game well with the ball at their feet as well. And Batistuta's in here, and the linesman's flag is down. Still Gabriel Batistuta, the shot comes in. And Australia are looking around, certainly at the referee and the linesman there. But I think the pace of Batistuta caught them out. Rakovic went in for the tackle. By this time players were back. And it's a corner to Argentina. Maradona to take it. The in-swinger with the left foot. Bosnich comes and gathers comfortably. Tries another one of his huge throws. This time it doesn't quite reach Robbie Slater. There's Maradona. Alex Tobin. Perez. Redondo. Can Argentina show us more than they've shown in the first 45 minutes? In quickly, Arnold. Too many blue and white shirts around him though. Here's Chamot for Argentina. Batistuta has certainly had his handful contending with Alex Tobin in the heart of the Australian defence. There they go again. This time Batistuta gets his body in. Showing us some skills, though no end product for the Argentinian, and that's a goal kick to Australia. Batistuta subject of a $20 million transfer offer this week from Galatasaray, the Turkish club, to his Italian club Fiorentina. Lurk underneath this, flicked on. Up jumped Perez. Vidmar with the flick on as well. Here's Graham Arnold. Out to Slater out wide. It's a go for Tony Vidmar. Rakovic. It's good play from Australia. Argentina did certainly seem to put more pressure on the ball than they did in the first half. I just wonder if Alfio Basile is conscious that Australia are capable of knocking the ball around. May not want to give them the opportunity to settle and start so well in this half as they did in the first 45. Such is the optimism in Australian football these days. They believe that in matches such as the one this evening, they must win. It's no longer good enough to play well against this calibre of opposition and come away with no result. Certainly to have any chance of going through to the USA, they must get a strong result tonight. To go to Buenos Aires with a defeat would be too much to peg back, as Australia almost went through there now, and Balbo has time to break on the left. Batistuta goes and he's offside this time. And it was well played by Alex Tobin because he stepped up there. Van Blurk, back to Tobin. Jason Van Blurk plays for Go Ahead Eagles in Holland. He's gaining a good reputation there, well, as an attacking defender. And this is why, because that's a good run from Van Blurk. Oh, so close there, Goycochea. Couldn't pick it up, obviously. Maradona's out wide on the right. Cuts inside Wade. Skips away from him neatly. Diego Maradona taking the Australian defence on. Bosnich gathers that through ball comfortably. Such a motivating factor for Mark Bosnich was the fact that Diego Maradona would be playing here this evening. Certainly Bosnich in terrific form coming into this game. Midweek Cup tie at Sunderland, he was outstanding. UEFA Cup tie in Spain 10 days ago, he was also in brilliant form, saving a penalty from Bebeto. I know there was a huge sigh of relief in the Australian camp when Bosnich did make himself available. There has been some problems in the past between the Australian camp and the young keeper, but thankfully that is all behind him. But he may have some work to do here as Argentina win their first free kick within striking distance of the Australian goal. Vidmar with the foul on Perez, and every Australian is back. They're so conscious of the set-piece ability of the Argentinians. Of course, Maradona is quite capable of something special from here. He's around 30 yards out. 6 in the wall, takes the free kick, he's aimed for Balbo. That's a brilliant move, Balbo backheeled across the goal. And there was no supporting Argentinian player. That must be heartbreaking for Alfio Basile, because it was a brilliant set piece. Everyone expecting the shot. Chamot now for Argentina, good shot, blocked. And finally cleared by Australia. Well played, Ivanovic. And Blurk to Arnold. Well, that's well played, Graham Arnold keeps it in. Borelli comes across. Back to Vidmar. Zelic is inside. Slater. Oh, and Slater having a go at one of the Argentinians head off the ball. And he could be in trouble here. Here's a replay of the incident. A tackle was in from Robbie Slater. Perhaps Perez did respond, but certainly Slater responded after that. Perez has been booked. Surprisingly, no free kick given though. Back to the throw-in. Arnold van Blurk. Two players blocking the cross. Graham Arnold, can he pull it back? That's well blocked by Borelli. Zelic. Quick throw-in taken. All the way back to Wade. Good play Australia, Ned Zelic. Cross in, flicked on and away by Vazquez. Again, Australia setting the pace in this match as they did in the first half. Van Blurk, long throw. Zelic on the near post. Vazquez, his way, can he keep it down? And it's blocked. And it's a corner to Australia. Difficult shot to take. Bouncing high like that. The skipper did well to keep it down. Defenders coming out at him, and it was a good block in the end by Basualdo. Corner for Australia. Goycochea gathers comfortably. We certainly haven't seen any weakness in his ability to take crosses, as was pinpointed by the Australian media before the game. Free kick by Chamot. And the Arnold forward for Australia. That's who he's found. Borelli in behind him, well shielded by Arnold. Slater is the man it was aiming for. MacAllister too strong in the air for him though. Zelic. Good run from the Borussia Dortmund midfielder. And another throw for Australia in a strong position. Taken by their long throw specialist, Tony Vidmar. Wade in there for the flick on. Arnold behind him. Aurelio Vidmar on the back post. Maradona. Good tackle from Tobin. Redondo. Still Redondo. Maradona now. This is better from the Argentinians. Perez wide on the right. Inside him was Chamot. Still they maintain possession. Maradona flicked inside for Balbo. Gone in the second half. It's still Australia 1, Argentina 1. Cross comes in, and there's Batistuta, straight at Bosnich. Well, the agility of Batistuta there for all to see with that shot. Good pull back from Balbo, and good attempt from Batistuta, though, in fairness to Bosnich, no real danger for him with that effort. Back to Van Blurk. Zelic inside. Makes the defence come out to get him. Nice play from Zelic. Opening things up on the right-hand side for Durakovic. Inside to Slater. Wade. Chance to get the cross in for Vidmar. Aurelio Vidmar again. And he's gone down, but there's no sign of any penalty to be given by the Hungarian referee. Australia dominating play though, and it was a good run in from Vidmar. Slight nudge in the back, but certainly nothing strong enough to warrant such an important decision as a penalty. Australia still setting the tone of this game as they come forward with Tobin to Arnold. Vidmar, ball into the far post looking for his brother Aurelio. He's won that. Still Aurelio, Vidmar, and Goycochea out so quickly. And that was good play from Sergio Goycochea, because Aurelio Vidmar had got behind his man. The ball really fell favourably to Vidmar there, and Goycochea was watchful. And Argentina cleared with Arnold going in a bit high. And resounding cheers of Aussie around the stadium. Certainly no shortage of blue and white flags here, though, I must say. The crowd pulling capacity of the Argentinians really is phenomenal all around the world. 15 minutes gone in the second half. It's still Australia 1, Argentina 1. Australia really have been camped in the Argentinian half for the last 10 minutes or so, but now Argentina break with Balbo. He's looking long for Batistuta. Bosnic is right off his line. The showman in Bosnic coming out there, he could quite comfortably have backed off into his 18-yard box and taken that. Preferring instead to show what he's like in the air. Maradona. Maradona stayed down, holding the back of his leg. Gets slowly to his feet now. Graham Arnold is down for Australia. Maradona hobbling back to the halfway line as we see their treatment being given to Arnold. He won the throw-in, but it'll be interesting to see whether he gets a free kick. Play goes on, meanwhile, while Arnold is treated. And Slater coming forward now. Got Van Blurk outside him, still Robbie Slater, surrounded by blue and white shirts. Too many, in fact, because Redondo's one possession. Still Redondo, Balbo breaking through the middle. Batistuta, back to Perez. Redondo, master of the first-time pass. So difficult to dispossess. Argentina are glad to be able to string a few passes together. Slater now. Zelic. Got Vidmar outside him. It's Australia's throw, and Maradona looking to come back on the field after some treatment. Oh, that's brilliant play by Robbie Slater. Chance for him now to get the cross in. Has been brought down by MacAllister. And that's a booking for Carlos MacAllister, the second yellow card of the evening. Certainly has been a game played in marvellous spirits. This is the incident here. Vidmar went past him. Good tackle from MacAllister there. Then Slater took over, and that was the foul. But Australia prepare to take the free kick. Vidmar's gone in there. That's who it was aimed for on the near post. He doesn't know where that is. Gives Durakovic the opportunity to clear, though he doesn't take it. sort of return pass that Diego Maradona is capable of chasing, certainly in his physical condition at the moment. He's certainly pacing himself throughout this game, Maradona. Very reminiscent of Italy in 1990, where just 2 or 3 glimpses of brilliance in each game was often enough for Argentina to take the honours. He's already provided us with one in the first half with that cross to Balbo. Certainly cannot afford to stop the marking job that has been taking place on him so far. Australia have done well to contain him. And I know the Australian camp feel that when they have possession, perhaps they're only playing against 10 men, because Maradona certainly isn't asked to do any defensive jobs. It's a good ball in. Reply too high for Vidmar, and he's won a free kick, Aurelio Vidmar. Perhaps fortunately, but certainly in a dangerous position for Argentina. Frustration can be seen on some of the members on the bench there. Experience of 2 or 3 seasons in Europe coming out there. Australia have Zelic, Slater and Van Vleuk over the ball. Rakovic also in space out wide on the right. Zelic is usually the man for the free kicks. Every Argentinian back. Can Australia produce something special here? Oh, and that's almost looked like they hadn't practiced it before, because MacAllister comes away for Argentina. He felt he was fouled and he handballed. Still some uncertainty which way the free kick will go, but it's gone Argentina's way. Australia spoiled a marvellous opportunity with that free kick. Hugo Perez. Good ball in. Can't afford to try and stop on the ball in the 18-yard box with Abel, Balbo and Batistuta around, though Australia do manage to get the ball away. Good mark. Maradona in too quickly. Basualdo. Again we see concentrated defence of the yellow jerseys. Too much for the Argentinians. Van Vleuk and Perez play on, said the referee. That's good play from him. Redondo, Balbo, Perez, Maradona. 6, 7, 8 passes from the Argentinians. And that's marvellous play. Free kick taken quickly. Redondo to Perez. Now Australia are in with Wade. They've been very patient there, Australia. Certainly while the passes were being made, they had numbers behind the ball, so there was no direct danger on Mark Bosnich's goal. Must be frustrating for them though, trying to win possession back, because Argentina have started again. Here's José Chamot looking for Batistuta. Free kick given for pushing by Batistuta. Sounds that Sile's thinking of making a change. Van Vleuk out wide. And here's Durakovic in space. Still Mehmet Durakovic. Australia forward now. Slater wide on the right. Good first time ball in. Vidmar's there. So too was Chamot. It was a crucial win in the air for the debutant, because Aurelio Vidmar was right behind him. Maradona to Redondo. Certainly capable of dictating the pace of the game. And Basualdo went off for treatment there, and Maradona passed it to him without realising that he wasn't on the field. And that brings an ironic cheer from the spectators here at the Sydney Football Stadium. Brought to you for Sky Sports. Batistuta, was he onside there? The flag stayed down. The referee surprisingly overruled his linesman there. Arnold's in space, but he's offside. That's Basualdo. Certainly one of the more experienced players on the park today for Argentina. They wouldn't want to lose him with three other players making their debut, but they have made a substitution because Zapata is on for Basualdo. It's a midfielder for a midfielder, José Zapata. Maradona certainly being involved more in the one-touch play that Argentina have produced in the second half, though no glimpses of his real genius. 25 minutes gone in the second half. It's still Australia 1, Argentina 1 if you've just joined us. Abel Balbo opened the scoring for Argentina after 37 minutes. The reply for Australia came from Aurelio Vidmar just 3 minutes before half-time. Territorially, Australia have had by far the better of the game. They really do need to take a win with them to Buenos Aires to have any chance of qualifying for the USA. Australia also make their first change. There's a familiar face to many British viewers. It's Big Dave Mitchell, currently of Millwall, but Swindon fans will have fond memories of their campaign last season. Off goes a defender, Tony Vidmar. On comes a striker. You can see what's in Eddie Thompson's mind. Time is running out. He must have a result here this evening. He's played perhaps the ace up his sleeve in Dave Mitchell. Big, bustling striker, capable of upsetting any defence, as he proved when he came on against Canada and set up what proved to be a decisive goal for Australia. Also will provide some problems in the air for the Argentinian defence. Mitchell's first touch. Rakovic. Maradona, Redondo. Perez out wide. Back to Redondo. Still just the two players forward for Argentina. Now Chamot tries to create an option out wide on the right. That's a marvellous ball from Abel Balbo to find José Chamot. Looking for Batistuta, but Slater's back covering. Wade thought about going back to Bosnich. And Chamot conceding the throw. players around David Mitchell, and he's won the free kick, Mitchell. Such a wholehearted player. 30 years old now. This is his last chance, as it is for several Australians, to possibly make the World Cup finals. Briefly joined the Turkish club earlier on this season, but returned to Millwall, and already there he's made his presence felt because he's earned himself a booking for that challenge. Vazquez it was who got the pass away, and there's the challenge after the ball. Sergio Vazquez, surprisingly perhaps, plays his football in neighbouring country Chile. Universidad Católica is his club. Mitchell's no-nonsense style may have some effect on the smaller Argentinian defenders. There's not a lot of size about the Argentinian defence. Certainly Borelli and MacAllister are short, to say the least. Australia can get some high balls into Mitchell and Arnold. They could cause some problems there. Maradona, back to MacAllister. Has the sting gone out of Australia, as Argentina certainly having far more possession than they did in the first half. Australia must keep pressurising the ball, as they have done so far this game. Argentina managed to get up a bit of steam. They're quite capable of producing something extra special. Take away a victory here from Sydney this evening, but not so far. Given away by Wade, straight to Maradona. Diego Maradona has found Perez out wide on the right. Ball into the far post, but there's no one there. It's a goal kick to Australia. Australia have a world ranking of 61. Argentina are ranked 7th in the world. Certainly strong favouritism with the South Americans, though with the showing that Australia's put on this evening, perhaps something more is possible in Buenos Aires. It remains to be seen. That second leg of this World Cup tie to be played on November 17. Preparation for the Australian team for that match will take place in Colombia. Eddie Thompson was very cautious about taking his players too early to Argentina. Probably fly in on the day of the game. Batistuta, good turn and shot. And Bosnich watched it closely enough to make a diving save at it. He was lucky there not to give away a corner, I think, Bosnich, because he definitely got a touch. This is a glimpse of the quality of Gabriel Batistuta. Almost went down under the challenge. Bosnich watchful. Redondo again to Batistuta, combining well. Maradona playing a deeper role. Bustle by Wade there. instantly Maradona got the ball. 2 Australian players around him. 10 minutes remaining at the Sydney Football Stadium on Sky Sport. The score still Australia 1, Argentina 1. Is there a twist left in this marvellous tie conjured up by the World Game? And Zelic going forward, and he's been brought down. But play on, says the referee. And Durakovic lets it run, and Bosnich comes out. And Australia begin again with Wade. Certainly Wade, with his marking job on Maradona, has some time on the ball when he does get possession himself. Van Bleur, chance to cross it with his left foot. Good mark. That's a goal kick. Well, the whole world expects Argentina to defeat Australia. If the score remains at 1-1, they would certainly be heavy favourites for the return leg in Buenos Aires. I just wonder if the Australians have the experience to cope with what's required for that return leg. And may yet take a victory there, because Slater's crossed the ball in. MacAllister clears for Argentina. Ivanovic looking for Mitchell. He should out-jump MacAllister. There's a distinct height advantage there. And he's bundled him off the ball, Mitchell, but it's a free kick. It seemed like a shoulder-to-shoulder, though perhaps just in the back of MacAllister there. Certainly the referee felt so. Maradona, marvellous control under pressure. And a lovely ball through from Diego Maradona. Batistuta, Balbo in the way, but Perez in space on the right, and it's a good shot. Bosnich well positioned. With the flick. Chamot in well. So too was Wade. Both sides now with a more direct approach to this game, with just 7 or 8 minutes remaining. Slater. Durakovic, and Blurk in space on the left. But Mitchell so intent there on following his man. He missed the opportunity to pinch the ball, and Redondo's come forward for Argentina. And it was a good challenge by Tobin, because Batistuta and Balbo were both lurking there. Urgency from the Australian players now. The Argentinian supporters reluctant to give the ball back there. Smiles from the referee. Sure, they are watching the clock as much as the coaching staff of both sides. Australia, ironically, have an Argentinian as one of their assistant coaches. Raul Blanco, certainly his knowledge of the way, style of the South American players has helped Eddie Thompson plot and scheme to beat the Argentinians here this evening. Aim for Arnold. Van Bleur, high ball in. MacAllister's underneath it, so was Arnold, and it was a good jump by Carlos MacAllister. Batistuta wins well, and Ivanovic. And Van Bleur will have the opportunity to go back to Bosnich. Mark Bosnich right out of his goal, looking for Mitchell. Flicked on, Arnold, he'll have to hold it up, but he's done well to find Vidmar, and Mitchell's in on the far post. Less than 5 minutes remaining here at the Sydney Football Stadium. Certainly a 1-1 draw, I think at the end of the day, would be a victory in a sense to Argentina. Official from the Argentinian bench coming on the field to see what's happening there. And Sandor Puhl, the Hungarian referee, physically had to push him off the pitch then. Still no trainer allowed on. That was the challenge between Durakovic and Balbo. It's Abel Balbo, the goal scorer, who's down. 21 goals in his first season in Italy last year with Udinese, certainly not one of the more fashionable clubs over there. He transferred to Roma for $9 million in the closed season. He's just managed 1 goal so far this season in Italy. It was a marvellous header by Abel Balbo in the first half, though, that put Argentina into the lead. Eddie Thompson, the Australian coach, up on his feet there. You can just see in the background, so is Basile. Crucial part of the game. Last minute instructions. Can either team salvage that crucial win or that crucial last goal? Fernando Caceres is standing by to come on. There is Fernando Caceres. Balbo takes no farther part in this game, and Caceres moves into defence. Argentina looking to close the door on Australia. Maradona, beaten by Vidmar, way. Slater out wide on the right. Bobby Slater goes past one, the cross comes in, it's a good ball into, Mitchell's in there, Van Bleur, the shot! And the hopes of every Australian in the Sydney Footballer Stadium. Perhaps flying over the crossbar with that shot from Jason Van Bleur. Good run from Slater. Plenty of Australians in there, Mitchell causing problems in the air. And a shot from Van Bleur. Disappointing. Mitchell just coming for that, and he's perhaps snuck in behind there, Dave Mitchell. It's a throw into Australia. Vazquez is his marker. Blurk to Zelic. Certainly haven't seen much of Ned Zelic in the second half. He engineered the first goal for Australia with that marvellous through ball for Tony Vidmar. And Van Blurk just can't get past his man. Time running out for Australia. Clock certainly on the side of Argentina. Recent results in Asia, Saudi Arabia and South Korea both made the final 24 of the World Cup next year. That is the position at stake in tonight's match. The winner over the two legs has the chance to win the World Cup again. Argentina already with such a strong tradition in that area. It would be marvellous for Australian soccer if they could perhaps produce one of the upsets of all time, perhaps, if they could beat the Argentinians. It's still possible. Slater on the ball. Cross comes in. Vidmar's in there. So is Mitchell. It came off the head of Mitchell, but it looked like a goal kick, but the referee has signalled for a corner and he waves the Argentinian players away. And that's a booking for Diego Maradona. And that in itself has brought one of the loudest cheers of the evening. Will there be a final surge from Australia with this corner? No. It's not to be. Durakovic now, though. And Blurk's wide on the left. Mitchell's in there as well. Chamot strong under the challenge of Mitchell. Dave Mitchell was part of Australia's last World Cup campaign last 1989, I'm sorry. Such disappointment when Australia drew with Israel at this very stadium. Certainly the older players in the Australian squad will be conscious that this is their last chance as the final whistle is blown. And the second half was another intriguing affair, though no goals this time. Abel Balbo opened the score for Argentina with a marvellous header, arching his neck and his back to head past Mark Bosnich after a brilliant cross from Diego Maradona. Aurelio Vidmar replied for Australia 3 minutes before half-time, and they were locked at 1-1 at half-time. The return of Maradona was not overshadowed by the game, but certainly he had a quiet game by his standards on past reputation. Australia will feel that they certainly had the better of the game. Difficulties now for Australians to qualify for the World Cup in 1994. They face a difficult task away to Argentina in Buenos Aires. A terrific night's entertainment, though, in Australia for the biggest game ever in this country. And the final score at the Sydney Football Stadium is Australia 1, Argentina 1.
A physically and emotionally draining second half after the power drain at half-time as they go off to the second leg, all square then at 1-1. We'll be back in a couple of seconds' time to talk you through the first leg. We'll be back on our scheduled running time, running a little bit late at 11 o'clock with Redline, motor racing, and then goals on Sunday with Anna at 12 o'clock. Now, 2 goals in this World Cup qualifying playoff in Sydney. It finished Australia 1, Argentina 1. Let's have a look at virtually the only Argentinian chance in the first half. It brought the Argentinian goal. Ray Clements.
Yes, it was actually probably the only time in the first half we saw any of the old Maradona. It's a wonderful crossing with his left foot, and there's Balbo on the end of it, right into the top corner, giving Bosnich no chance. We didn't see as much of Maradona as we'd liked in this game, did we? You know, he's only had 2 games in 2 months. That was the magic part of it. Apart from that, I think that Wade, who marked him throughout the game, really never gave him a kick, and it was disappointing that we didn't see more of him. For Mark Bosnich, I mean, he's gone an awful long way to play in that game, and really that was the only thing that he had to do in the game, was pick the ball out of the net.
All credit to Australia. They came straight back into it within 5 minutes, just before the half-time interval. Australia came back with that fine equaliser, and it was all about the Vidmar brothers, really.
It was, yeah. It was a lovely ball from Zelic in the first place. There's the ball hit across, and Aurelio Vidmar on the end of it. Here we see, he looks to go left, turns it onto his right foot. Lovely weighted pass there. It just sits up. Marvellous for Tony Vidmar, and I think he just hits it across there. I don't think he sees his brother, but he just hits it across there, hoping the yellow shirt will get there, and it was his brother. So it was a you know, an opportunist goal there by Aurelio.
Now that really set Australia up, didn't it? They were pumping for the second half, and then the floodlight failure. We had a delay for the start of the second half, and they started cold, didn't they? And they never got warm again.
No, the second half never got going like the first half. We mentioned when the lights went out, it might affect Australia more than Argentina, and really Australia never played anywhere like they played in the first half, and Argentina were always in control. I can't remember Australia, apart from 2 minutes from the end, having a chance. The rest of the time, Argentina, without creating too many chances, were always in control of the situation, I felt.
They had the better of the chances in the second half. Batistuta having 2. This is the first, Ray.
Yes, it's a good ball in there for Balbo, and it's an acrobatic South American effort, and Bosnich in the right position, but as it comes across here, you can see that he hits it into the ground, doesn't quite catch hold of it, and it's a very easy save for Bosnich. If it had been either side of it, it might have been more of a problem, even though there wasn't a great deal of pace on it.
Australia only really had the one late effort that went well wide from the fullback Van Blaert coming forward, and they looked drained, didn't they, in that second half?
They did. They looked very, very tired the last 15-20 minutes. The sharpness had gone out of the game, which they'd shown in the first half. But to be fair, they worked so hard in the first half at pressurising the Argentinian side to win the ball off them that it probably took its toll in the end. They just couldn't keep that pressure up on them all for the whole 90 minutes.
Well, we talked a lot about Mark Bosnich early on. Let's see Mark Bosnich making a second half save, even though it was rather comfortable from Batistuta.
Yes, again here we see a nice ball in. Batistuta takes it on his right foot, looks up, drives it in, and Bosnich saves it, and I think it's actually going wide, and I think the referee was kind to him as well, gave a goal kick, but Bosnich, you can see there, definitely gets a touch to it, even though it was going wide. So, you know, no problems for Mark on the day.
Mind you, they've still got to beat Mark Bosnich in that second leg, haven't they, in November? We'll be back in a couple of seconds' time just with some final thoughts from Ray, and we'll look ahead to that second leg on November the 17th, which will also be live right here on your World Cup station. Argentina won, it finished in the World Cup qualifying playoffs, so they head off to the second leg next month, Ray. With what hope for Australia, really?
Well, because of their team spirit, they'll go out there with hope. They've got a draw. They've shown in the first half that they can certainly pressurise Argentina and battle with them. But I've been to Buenos Aires, and it's a very, very intimidating atmosphere, and I think it will be very, very difficult for the Australians to actually get a result out there.
And of course there will be a hero's welcome for one Diego Armando Maradona.
Certainly there will be, but he'll hope to do more than he did today, because we didn't really see an awful lot of him. Yes, he created the goal for Balbo, but apart from that, he was really marked out the game and didn't look anywhere near his old self.
And how about the hero of Villa Park, Mark Bosnich? They still have to get past him, don't they?
Well, they still have to, and I'm sure he'll be busier out in Buenos Aires than he was today. I mean, he went a long way really to put on the shirt, and all he had to do was basically pick the ball out the net. But I'm sure he'll have a lot more to do out in Buenos Aires, and he's quite capable of doing it.
He still had a plate of his mum's veal stroganoff, though, which I believe he enjoyed. They also had some dangerous players outfield, didn't they? Slater looked dangerous.
Yes, I mean, for me, Robbie Slater was the most impressive of the Australian players. Whenever he got it, he looked as though he could create something with his close ball control. So he was the outstanding player for me. Apart from that, the rest of the side worked extremely hard for each other, and they'll have to do all that out there and somehow create an opportunity to get them a goal.
Well, it should be quite some game, shouldn't it? That return leg. Don't forget, the second leg is in Buenos Aires on Wednesday, November the 17th.